Good evening, this is Brass Taxam Zakir Jacob. There is a full-blown political war between the Congress and the BJP over history textbooks in Karnataka. The new education minister has said that any chapter with reference to RSS founder Dr. KB Hedgewar will be removed from history textbooks that are going to be taught in Karnataka schools. The BJP says this is unacceptable and that Hedgewar's contributions to the building of modern India cannot be overlooked. Between these two cross narratives, is history itself becoming a political football between our two leading political parties?
After the Congress party's stellar victory in Karnataka, the communal battle lines continue to deepen in the state. As the new government plans to undo what it calls the BJP saffron agenda. After the furor over anti-cow slaughter laws, the Congress turns its attention to school textbooks, namely lessons on RSS founder Keshav Baliram Hedgewar. The Congress has accused the BJP of ideological corruption, calling the RSS founder a coward who deserves no pedestal in history.
BJP are so corrupt in their mind, which they wanted to infuse in the system of studies, which we are against it.
ಹೆಡ್ಗೆವಾರು ಸ್ವತಂತ್ರ ಹೋರಾಟಗಾರರು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಎಲ್ಲಾದರೂ ಸಾಬೀತು ಮಾಡಲಿ. ಈ ದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ಬ್ರಿಟಿಷರ ಕ್ಷಮಾಪಣೆ ಕೋರಿದಂತ ಈ ನಕಲಿ ಸ್ವತಂತ್ರ ಹೋರಾಟಗಾರರಿಗೆ ಅವರು ಮಾನ್ಯತೆ ನೀಡಂಗಿದ್ರೆ ಇವತ್ತು ಯಾರೋ ಹೇಳಿಕೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ.
What the BJP has done is try to infuse their ideological issues into textbooks.
The BJP has accused the Congress of vendetta politics, claiming the government is waging a cultural war on Hindus by sidelining Sangh icons in India's freedom struggle.
This is not an astonishing thing. When Siddaramaiah became the Chief Minister, every time Chief Minister takes his total administration is vendetta. Not only regarding education. You can say everything.
It is recorded history that Hedgewar campaigned against British rule in India and was imprisoned multiple times for sedition. He campaigned for independence under the banner of Hindu nationalism and even joined the Congress in 1919. But he quit the party in 1923 after opposing Mahatma Gandhi's policy of launching the non-cooperation movement with the plank of Khilafat to restore the caliphate in Turkey. He then formed the RSS in 1925.
RSS देशवासियों को दिल में है, हृदय में है, वो हटा नहीं सकता, सिलेबस से हटा सकता है. वो जो लोग सत्ता में है उसके वजह से सिलेबस से हटा सकता है, बट दिल से हटा नहीं सकता.
So are the Congress party's charges against the RSS founder rooted in fact? Who is twisting history for the sake of politics?
I want to first go across to BJP MLA, former minister, in fact, former Minister of Higher Education, Dr. Ashwath Narayan, who is now joining us. The government now saying, Dr. Narayan, that they're going to have a rethink on these textbooks, particularly the chapters that are there on Dr. KB Hedgewar, the founder of the RSS. The Congress government claims that Dr. Hedgewar was not a freedom fighter and that this chapter in this particular history textbook is for freedom fighters. So why should he be featured? Because he never fought in the independence movement.
Congress party is not a party to certify who is a freedom fighter. Dr. Hedgewar is a freedom fighter. It is a very well-known fact. He has fought for the freedom of our country. And he is a true nationalist, a true patriot, who was responsible and given an immense contribution for the nation building. In the process of nation building with a lot of diversity, in languages, in culture, in religion, in traditions. With all these challenges, RSS, Rashtriya Swayam Seva Sangha, has contributed immensely for the nation building, and the founder, our Hedgewar, has given immense contribution. And we need to respect, we need to know about Dr. Hedgewar. And this kind of hatred politics by Congress really condemnable. People would like to know more about Hedgewar. They are more, this Congress party is always into divisive politics, hatred politics. They always create confusion among the people. They come out with biased statements, biased versions. So I condemn their complete approach. Removing Dr. Hedgewar's lesson from the textbook is really condemnable. And Congress party has shown its true colors.
But Dr.
time
Ashwin
and
Narayan,
again.
what the
We'll fight
Congress,
it back and
what the
we'll show
current
them.
state government is saying is that it is not them who's tinkering with history textbooks. It's actually the BJP that did that when you were in power. You dropped chapters on Tipu, you included chapters on Savarkar, Hedgewar, that you are the ones who are actually changing history textbooks. You are putting up a revised version of history or a revisionist version of history. What the Congress is saying is that they are only correcting it to back to what it used to be before.
What should have been in the textbook, it was not there. The leftists, they have been guided by the leftists. They have time and again, they want to know more about the Mughals. They want to know about those invaders, not about the people who have built this country in this century. The people who have contributed and whom you have seen in the present modern history, we need to know about them. It is about the invaders. They always talk about the invaders. Always Gulamgiri, Gulamgiri, the Gulamgiri of the Congress. They are trying to reflect the Gulamgiri. They are Gulams. They believe in Gulamgiri, and they again want our children, our students to read about this invaders and all the Mughals and all other people who have worked, who have looted our country.
All right, Dr. Ashwin Narayan, we'll leave it at that. Thank you very much. That's the former Higher Education Minister of the state of Karnataka. I want to open this up to our panelists now. Professor Rakesh Sinha is Rajya Sabha Member of Parliament of the BJP. Aishwarya Mahadev, spokesperson of the Congress Party. Sangeet Ragi, RSS thinker and professor, will be joining us in a moment. And also Rashid Kidwai, senior journalist, is on the broadcast. Rakesh Sinha, let me start with you. What the Congress is claiming is that Dr. Hedgewar had a serious sort of fallout with Mahatma Gandhi and the independence movement. To call him a freedom fighter would be a stretch of the imagination, and therefore his chapter in the history textbooks of Karnataka is being dropped.
Such a statement is an annihilation of the history. Those who don't understand the freedom movement, they don't know Dr. Hedgewar, they are claiming about the Dr. Hedgewar. I am a biographer. I wrote biography of Dr. Hedgewar that has been published in many languages. I am counting 3 important things about Dr. Hedgewar. When he was a medical student in Kolkata, he was part of the revolutionary movement in Bengal, and that is available in the archival documents. Congress should go in the National Archive and search the document about Dr. Hedgewar's role in the revolutionary movement in Bengal. He was closer to many revolutionaries in Bengal. When he came in Nagpur, he was organizing the revolutionary movement. But most important thing is that during the non-cooperation movement, he led the non-cooperation movement. He was the secretary of the non-cooperation board in Nagpur. This is the non-cooperation board in Nagpur. He, along with Dr. Cholkar and Samullah Khan, this trio led the movement in Nagpur that revitalized the non-cooperation movement. Most important thing is that time the supporters of Lokmanya Tilak, they were not enthusiastic about the non-cooperation movement.
Okay.
Dr. Hedgewar separated himself from that stream and led that movement. He formed the Nagpur National Union. This Nagpur National Union is the first organization in the country which had sent a resolution to the Congress special session of the Congress that Congress should demand the complete independence. Later on in 1930s, when the civil disobedience movement started, he abandoned the position of the RSS chief as a Sarsangachalak. He led the movement, and archival that is record categorically states that. Just I'm ending with it. Just give me 20 seconds. Categorically mentioned that it was due to participation of Dr. Hedgewar that civil disobedience movement was revitalized in Vidarbha. It was already in the cold storage. So I think that in history that there is some kind of professionalism where you have to depend on the primary sources. The primary sources are the Marathi newspapers in Maharashtra and the National Archive records. If they if they believe in the 10th Janpath record, 10th Janpath archive, then we can't help the Congress party.
Let me ask Aishwarya Mahadev this. You cannot argue that Dr. Hedgewar did not fight the British or was against the British, or that he went to jail for opposing British Raj. All of those are recorded facts of history. Just because he had a fallout with Gandhi, he did not participate in the Satyagraha, doesn't mean that he was not a freedom fighter. That's the contention of the BJP.
Good evening, Zaka. I think for the first time, I've absolutely heard a lot of profound statements made by the BJP about Mr. Hedgewar. So I want to ask the BJP one thing. You have had successive governments in states for decades, including in Karnataka when Mr. Yediyurappa's first stint as CM happened. Please tell me why this profound human being was not included in the syllabus then. Why is it that all these revered RSS figures that you now sit and sanctify and beatify, why were they not in the syllabus over the years and over the decades, even when you also had a prime minister? One, right? Because apparently there is some sudden need to reclaim and rewrite history, and it's a post-truth alternative fact sort of scenario here, Zaka, which is something that is problematic. One. Second thing is Mr. Ashwath Narayan, the way that he spoke obviously tells you the state of education in my state when he happened to be higher education minister. But a few facts for you. It is not only about Hedgewar, whose writings also in this book are something that have been contentious to the extent that several intellectuals, activists, and also writers for the Kannada textbooks have taken objection to the extent that they've asked for their writings not to be published in the textbooks of the Karnataka state. And while the country is okay with the periodic table not even being included and entire objective history not being removed, the BJP seems to be so bothered about an ideologue during which, when they were in government, they also had put on hold because of the sort of opposition to the same.
No, but Aishwarya, once again, please answer the question that I started off by asking you. Do you have evidence to show that Hedgewar was not against the British, that he did not go to jail for fighting the British? And if he went to jail for fighting the British, then I would assume that that was for the cause of freedom.
Well, of course, there are a lot of people that went to jail, had pensions, and also wrote apology letters. And apparently, when they were in jail, had bulbuls flying out of their window that was showing them Bharat Mata and all of Hindustan. So there's a lot of contention there. But Zaka, the objective point is not that. The objective point is to sit and sanctify one individual at the cost of a Baswana, at the cost of Ambedkar, at the cost of reformative movements in Karnataka and the secular credentials to give you a colored sort of history, where entire portions of dynasties in Karnataka have been removed, entire portions of caste struggle have been removed. That is what the problem is. Because objectively, people may believe writing mercy petitions is a form of patriotism. Well, objectively, some people may think it's an absolute act of cowardice.
In April of 1930, I just want to bring this to our viewers' notice, and I'll go to Sangeet Ragi and Rashid Gidwai after that. In April of 1930, Mahatma Gandhi, of course, gave the call for satyagraha, a peaceful, non-violent means of claiming independence from the British. He launched the Salt Satyagraha, the famous Salt Satyagraha, and the Dandi Yatra, the Dandi March, as it were, in April of 1930. Dr. Hedgewar at that time said that the RSS will not be taking part in the Satyagraha, but he had given individuals permission to join the Dandi Yatra. He sent information everywhere that the Sangh will not participate in the Satyagraha. However, those wishing to participate individually were not prohibited. This seems to be the biggest bone of contention, Sangeet Ragi, as to why Hedgewar was not mentioned in the list of freedom fighters or in the chapter of freedom fighters in the history textbooks of Karnataka.
Jaka, I think that there were several strands of, freedom movement. There were several states in the freedom movement. And even the Hedgewar was one of them. Just now, the spokesperson of the Congress party said that he cannot be projected at the cost of Ambedkar. I don't know any textbook in the history where Ambedkar has been projected or Ambedkar has been mentioned as a freedom fighter who participated in the freedom movement. But his contribution was immense in the sense that he continued for fighting for the just cause of Dalits that time, the depressed classes. And the communists, they also had a share in the freedom movement, despite the fact that they collaborated with the British, they collaborated with the other forces, external forces. I think that, there is iconography of a nation. And unfortunately, Congress has hegemonized the iconography of the nation in name of one family or a couple of heroes. There are thousands and thousands, millions and millions of the heroes which have been denied their space in the textbook of history. It is only the dominant history which have been, written in last 70 years from the establishment that has taken roots in this country. But the matter of fact is that there were several strands, there were several sets of freedom movement.
No, but Sangeet Ragi, the contention by the Congress is that the leading lights of the freedom movement, from Gandhi to Nehru to Ambedkar to even Subhash Chandra Bose, they were all part of the Indian National Congress. That is their contention.
Dr. Ambedkar was never part of the Congress, number one. Number two, Ambedkar didn't participate in any of the freedom movements, and yet nobody has the courage to say anything against Dr. Ambedkar, because Ambedkar is a political icon. If you spell out even a single word against him, you have to pay the price in terms of the vote. But since Dr. Hedgewar,
Zaka, they cut down chapters of Ambedkar in Karnataka textbooks at the cost of letting Chakravarti, Sulibele and people like chapters of
One second, Aishwarya, one second. Let him finish. One second. Aishwarya, 1 second. Let him finish, please. Thank you.
That is extremely
let him finish, please. Thank you, Sangeet Ragi.
Yeah, but Jaka, just because Savarkar talked about Hindu nationalism, Savarkar talked about Hindutva, Dr. Hedgewar talked about consolidation of Hindus in light of threats coming from radical political Islam. He knew that the ideology of Hindutva is the cementing force, which can, even Gandhi thought along that line. Yes, on the Hindu-Muslim question, Gandhi and RSS had, polarized differences, but except on Hindu-Muslim relations, Gandhi and RSS conversed on probably all the issues, whether it was Swadeshi, it was a language question, it was an untouchability question, it was critique of modernity and Western civilization, whether it was a religious conversion. So Gandhi, except on the Hindu-Muslim relations, where I think that the RSS proved right and Gandhi proved wrong as far as understanding of political Islam is concerned. Right. But unfortunately, the space which the Hindu right should have been given in the history book.
Rashid Gidwai, again, the reason for why the Congress believes that Hedgewar was not a participant in the freedom movement is because he took part in the civil disobedience movement of 1930 in an individual capacity, not as an RSS member. His concern was to keep the RSS out of the political arena. In fact, according to his biography, when Gandhi launched the Salt Satyagraha, I said this in 1930, he sent out word to everyone in the RSS that you can take part in the Satyagraha in an individual capacity, but not as members of the RSS. Is that a debarment from being considered as a freedom fighter? Because, like I said, there is evidence to show that he went to jail multiple times taking on the British.
So, Zaka, I'm glad that, the RSS ideologues and supporters and sympathizers are having this kind of political approach towards history instead of just politicizing or weaponizing it. You remember some time ago when Lal Krishna Advani made a mention about Muhammad Ali Jinnah and his period of Rana Day and Gokhale, etc. There was a huge outrage in the RSS and in the BJP, and Mr. LK Advani paid a heavy price. The problem is that BJP doesn't like to be played in the same coin. They try to, constantly tweak this kind of, history in Rajasthan at the federal level. You look at, the Mughal chapters related to Mughals are being erased. There's a whole politicization and weaponization of history. And the Congress is not falling behind. Congress is also doing a thing or two as per its convenience. So this is a battle of ideology, and political parties are twisting it. History is far too serious a subject, to be left to the politicians. The BJP is, that they pick and choose. So they have one yardstick on Hedgewar and another one on Muhammad Ali Jinnah, and for that matter, LK Advani.
Okay. Let me come back to Professor Rakesh Sinha. So I come back to the question that I started with. if it is the BJP that changed the history textbooks first when they were in power in the previous BJP government in Karnataka, the Congress's claim is that they are only reverting to how history should have been and was before the BJP decided to tinker with it by dropping chapters on Tipu Sultan, by bringing in Savarkar, by bringing in Hedgewar and so on. They are just correcting it to how it used to be for the last 60 years. Okay,
coming to that question, I'm answering the earlier question you raised, that why did Hedgewar say that RSS members should participate on individual capacity? Hedgewar was one of the thinkers and the activists who believed that in freedom movement, anti-imperialist movement, there should not be two flags, there should not be two banners, there should not be two leadership. It would be divisive. That's why he participated. He gave a clarion call to the Swayamsevak to participate in individual capacity. Otherwise, they should have given with the RSS banner, RSS name, and RSS leadership. And Dr. Hedgewar denied such thing. One important thing that Hedgewar's trial is very important, significant event that represents the grassroots patriotism and grassroots anti-liberation movement. During his trial, during the non-cooperation movement, he himself faced the judges and he questioned the very locus standi of the judges, that you can't become a judge in a country where you are forcibly ruling the country, forcibly occupied the country. And the judgment was that the award of punishment, it is stated that your defense is more seditious than your original crime. This is the patriotism of Dr. Hedgewar. As far Gandhi and Hedgewar is concerned, in 1934, it was Mahatma Gandhi who desired to see Dr. Hedgewar seeing the discipline of the RSS. He didn't know that time about the RSS. He was staying at Jamnalal Bajaj residence in Wardha. Then he desired to meet Hedgewar. He went to the RSS camp. That day Hedgewar was not there. Later on, Hedgewar went to meet him. And Hedgewar, Gandhi was so impressed by Dr. Hedgewar and RSS campaign against untouchability, his theory and action. Later on, before his death, before his assassination, in Delhi, 16 September 1947, Gandhi went to participate in the RSS camp. He addressed the RSS Swayamsevaks. These are all available in the collective works of Gandhi.
No, but Professor Sinha, the fundamental.
Rashid was an RSS sympathizer.
Yeah.
What is this line of argument?
No.
This is cherry picking.
What is?
They will say that Mr. Pranab Mukherjee was an RSS sympathizer.
No, just because he went to the RSS headquarters. Is that what you're saying, Rashid?
No, that absolutely.
No. One second. There is a fundamental point which needs to be emphasized, and that is the reason why Dr. Hedgewar did not support the Satyagraha movement as an organization, as RSS the organization. In addition to what Professor Sinha said, was I think there was a fundamental difference in the idea of freedom, both for the RSS and Mr. Hedgewar, and of course for Mahatma Gandhi, which is that for Mr. Hedgewar and the RSS, India was an ancient civilization, a 5,000-year-old civilization where you had for 800 or 1,000 years foreign rule, first by the Mughals and then by the British. So the idea of independence was reclaiming a land which was an ancient Hindu civilization, whereas for Gandhi and Nehru and the rest of the Congress, it was for everyone, that the Muslims were also part of this land and the Christians were also part of this land, and that was the fundamental difference in the idea of freedom. Sangeet Ragi.
Jaka, on 4th May 1940, Gandhi is writing in Harijan, in any case, a Muslim rule in India will be preferable to me than the British one. Now think of Sir Syed Ahmad and Jinnah both said on so many occasions that this was the land which was ruled earlier by the Muslims, and when the British leave, the power should be transferred to the Muslims. Now remember, how could they expect Savarkar to support Gandhi on Quit India movement when Gandhi himself is writing in Harijan that a Muslim rule in India is preferable to, whereas Savarkar was fighting for the Hindu consolidation. Savarkar was working towards a Hindu consolidation, and Savarkar proved right. Jinnah divided the country. Muslims supported not for divided indivisible India. Muslims supported the supported the idea of Pakistan.
No.
And
One second. No. I beg to differ there. I beg to differ there. Even when that happened, there were more Indian Muslims who stayed back in this land than those who migrated. I don't think so. I don't think that is correct. I don't think that is correct. There were more Muslims who stayed back in India than those who. No, I'm not balancing. It's a recorded fact. But anyway, this is This is not. One second. I'm very clear about certain recorded facts of history to suggest that more Muslims went away from India into Pakistan in 1947 when Pakistan was created. I don't think is accurate. Things may have changed thereafter, but the point is not. The debate that we're having is about whether Hedgewar was a freedom fighter or not. Now, let me ask Aishwarya Mahadev, and then I'll give the final word to Rashid as well. Aishwarya Mahadev, the point is you are picking and choosing only freedom fighters of a movement or a political orientation because it suits you. You are unwilling to consider that people like Savarkar or Hedgewar were also fighting for the same thing, which is independence from the British, but their means of getting there or their idea of getting there was different. That doesn't mean that they were any less freedom fighters.
Zaka, before I answer that, I think RSS and thinkers seem to be quite oxymoronic as a term coming right now. And for your show to allow people to say the things that he has been saying is insulting to everybody on this panel. But let me answer what you're saying. I believe that this was not only, first of all, when the first textbook correction happened, let's bring this back because there's a lot of history people can talk about here and a lot of, I'm sure their best-selling books can put that out. It shouldn't be on prime time right now. But Zaka, the fact still remains that in Karnataka over the years, the BJP has also been in power. Never once have they decided to insert these new freedom fighters. It is a new exercise that started, one, without a constitutional mandate because the Rohit Chakratitha committee was constituted without a necessity from experts in school education to change it. One. Second thing is, it was not only the Congress that saw the errors, it was glaring instances of miswriting and misconceptions. I'm sorry, I'm sure other people believe they know history better, especially the RSS thinker whose party didn't even believe in the tricolor, rather the Bhagavad Dwaja. But the fact remains that even today, the thinkers refuse to have their works in our textbooks and asked for it to be corrected. These are not political leaning. These are institutions. These are organizations in themselves and intellectuals that wanted this. If they believe objectively that post-truth alternative fact, they want to add new freedom fighters, I believe it is not going to happen in a state like Karnataka, and that is the be-all and end-all of this matter. We do not need diatribes on who is a nationalist. We do not need diatribes on the independence struggle, and we do not definitely need diatribes about anybody's patriotism or even dialogues about the father of the Constitution, Mr. Ambedkar, whether he was part of the Congress or not. And I think it's very insulting that you come on prime time to try and tell the viewers otherwise. Okay. I'm sure you can keep it to your books. I'm sure you have a section of people that have the misfortune of buying it, but you will not have your reign over Karnataka and its secular education.
I just want to, again, because this was brought up in the conversation, there were 35 million Muslims who stayed back in India at the time of partition. So I just want to put that on record. Rashid Kidwai, final word.
Yeah. So Zaka, first of all, I thank you for presenting that fact. Second thing, the voting right, 84% people did not have voting rights. So in terms of Muslim community, it was only the zamindars or even the wealthy section people, income taxpayers and all who had a voting right. And the mandate also of 37 and all gave a very different kind of verdict. Now, coming to Zaka, history is far too serious. History can be very unpleasant for but one particular person or another. But we need to have a professional and a consistent approach. It's very unfortunate that a boy or girl is studying in 4th standard, read something else. By the time he or she reaches in 9th, has some other, kind of textbook, some other interpretation of history. And by the time he or she goes in college, there is a different history. I think we must, as a mature country and civilization, we must put an end to it. And it cannot, as I said, history cannot be left to the whims and fancies of political parties and individuals who have a very jaundiced view of history.
Okay, we'll leave it at that. We'll see how the story plays out.
Zaka, there is nothing like objective history.
Okay.
Jaka,
All right.
there is nothing
just like there is no objective journalism.
That's exactly what you want.
Just like there is no objective journalism. But we'll leave it at that. Thank you very much to all our guests. I'm completely out of time, but we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, there's an exclusive conversation with international relations expert and somebody who's got a very keen eye on how this Russia-Ukraine war is playing out. John Mearsheimer is the head of Department of Political Science at the University of Chicago. He will be joining me right on the other side to talk about the current global power plays, particularly now with this counter-offensive by Ukraine. How is this war going to play itself out over the summer months? Who has the advantage? Is it Russia or Ukraine? And how is it likely to end? That conversation right on the other side.